of growing up in a single-parent house, which I grew up in, which Meek grew up in, and having an adverse feeling for authority, right? Your father's gone, so you like, I hate my dad. Well, nobody tell me what to do. I'm the man in the house. And then you hit the street and you run into a police officer, and his first thing is, put your hands up, freeze, shut up. And you like, excuse my language, everybody. You like, fuck you, right? So that interaction causes people to lose lives.
I think today's younger generation is too sensitive and too easily offended. They're outraged by any little thing that somebody has to say. They don't understand what tough love is. They want people to say what they want to hear instead of listening to what you need to hear. It's easy to go on social media and say what people want to hear. The hard thing is saying what people need to hear. And I think that's what Jay-Z is doing. I'm starting to have much more respect for Jay-Z as he gets older. As he gets older, he's starting to be more mature, more sophisticated. He doesn't give a damn about what these younger folks have to say. He doesn't give a damn about what the outrage mafia on social media has to say. Now, woke Twitter idiots are calling Jay-Z a coon. They're calling him a sellout for talking about the single mother epidemic in the black community. Now, as you all know, in the black community, 70% of black kids are raised without a father. And Jay-Z talked about this. He's saying, this is one of the reasons why so many young black boys don't have any guidance, because they never had anybody to teach them how to be a man. They're looking for manhood in all the wrong places. And this is the reason why so many young black boys are getting in trouble with the law. Black kids need fathers. They need fathers in their life. And pointing this out is not being hateful. It's not being disrespectful. It's pointing out a simple fact that needs to be acknowledged. The problem I have with these woke Twitter pro-blacks is they just want to blame everything on white people. They want to blame everything on white supremacy. They don't want to talk about any of the internal problems that's hurting the black community. And the number one thing that's hurting the black community is the single mother epidemic. The epidemic of black fathers not being in the home. But any black person with common sense who talks about this, these so-called pro-blacks will say you're being a coon, you're being a sellout. One of the talking points that many pro-blacks will say anytime that somebody calls out the dysfunction in the black community, they'll say white people do it too. They will always say white people do it too. Now, there are white single mothers, but white single mothers don't make up the majority of white families. White single mothers only make up 29% of white families. In the black community, black single mothers make up 72% of black families. Less than 30% of black kids are being raised with a father in the home. This is ridiculous. No other race has a rate this high. So when I see pro-black saying, oh, white people do it too. White people do it too. No, they don't. They don't do it to this extent. And I'm not blaming single mothers. People need to get that through their head. Jay-Z is not blaming single mothers. Because if you look at a lot of these cases, a lot of these men are just being deadbeat dads. In some cases, it's the man's fault. In some cases, it's the woman's fault. I think it depends on the circumstance. I think if it's a case where a woman has multiple kids with multiple different men, I think that's the woman's fault. Because if she's sleeping around with man after man after man and having multiple kids with multiple different men, I think that's all the woman's fault. Now, if it's a situation where a woman is in a committed relationship with one man, she's in a committed relationship with one man, and that man walks away from his responsibilities and chooses not to be a father to that child, that's when it's the man's fault. So in some circumstances, it's the man's fault. In some circumstances, it's the woman's fault. But I think we need to come together as a race and better the black community and bring black families together. The only way we're going to stop this epidemic of violence in the black community, we have to start teaching these boys responsibility. We need to start teaching these boys manhood. And the only way you can do that, we need to start putting fathers back in the home. A lot of these younger black women are stuck on this feminism bullshit that you don't need a father. You don't need a father in the home. Yes, you do need a father in the home. And it doesn't have to be the biological father. Get your brother to be a father figure to the child. Get one of your family members to be a father figure to that child. But that child needs some type of father figure. If you look at LeBron James' story, LeBron James was raised in a single mother household. But his basketball coach became his father figure. During his teenage years, he moved in with his basketball coach, and he became his father figure. That basketball coach taught him responsibilities. He taught him how to be a man. He kept him out of trouble. The point I'm making is, it doesn't have to be the biological father. In order to get a father figure for your child, it doesn't have to be the biological father. It could be any man who's willing to take the responsibility of teaching manhood to a young child, to a young boy. And that's what we need in the black community. That's what these young boys need. So a lot of these feminist black women who think your son doesn't need a father, he needs a father. He needs a father figure in his life. Because if he doesn't get a father figure in his life, he's going to end up joining a gang. He's going to end up dropping out of high school. He's going to end up selling drugs. He's going to end up in prison. 90% of black men who are in prison were raised without a father. 90% of black men who are in prison were raised without a father. So you have to look at this correlation. You have to look at the facts for what they are. My advice to you younger black folks is stop being so sensitive. Stop being so easily offended by every little thing that somebody says. This is why I can't stand PC culture. PC culture stops us from having real conversations about the problems in the black community. Because anytime somebody says something that's not politically correct, the PC mafia on Twitter goes crazy. And they want to get somebody canceled. I'm sick and tired of cancel culture. I'm sick and tired of PC culture. Any person with common sense can understand exactly what Jay-Z was saying. Everything that Jay-Z said was completely positive. A lot of people have different opinions about this topic. Leave a comment, rate, and subscribe.